I hope everyone is doing okay today. Lots of thunderstorms last night. So I hope everybody's okay and has power, that kind of thing. And hope everybody's dogs and children slept through the night. Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm going to just do a brief overview of each of these centers to help you in your decision making regarding which site would be good for you. I think that knowing a little bit about each site that you haven't had a chance to visit might be helpful. What I'd like you to do is think about what kind of teaching site you want to be part of in the future, or what kind of teaching site would you like to learn a lot from no matter where you go to teach? Is there some part of what we've talked about in class that you really want to focus on, join your attention to, as Ann Pello says? So Sacred Heart, you've all visited, or most of you have visited. So I think you have a sense for that. It's a private school. We talked about affordability issues last week and how you might be surprised about how much less it costs to educate that way. And but if you're not comfortable in a private school setting because you would prefer to look at public school settings, you have the OVEC Head Start with Jessica Carlson, who is phenomenal. She was a coach for many, many years for teachers and decided to go back to the classroom and wanted to work directly with children and in public school spaces. And she's always coached teachers in Head Start or other kinds of spaces where that are close to or identical to a public school setting. So I think there you have best of both worlds, where you have a master teacher that you could work with. So that's a consideration. The other public school like environment is where Etta Reeves is the director. Etta was an award-winning student at U of L, and actually I did her CDA verification visit a long time ago, and she's amazing. I know one of your classmates has worked with her and knows just how incredible she is. And so this is another environment that is very much like what we've been talking about in class, and also represents a more public school-like environment. And Etta is an incredible director. I do not know the teachers there, so I only know Jessica as a teacher in this particular, these two Head Start environments. And in terms of alternative environments, side-by-side studios where we're going next will be an environment that, and some of you may go to it and say, I changed my mind, I want to be here. Because it is pretty magical and pretty wonderful. If you want to see a world that could be for young children and is in many, many spaces, again, these environments may seem unique and new to you, and I'm glad about that, but they really are not unique and new. In many ways, there are many environments like this in school settings. So, and they can be created in other types of setting. And as I mentioned, the OVEC Head Start, the new director, Erica Nygaard, did her dissertation on this very thing. You know, how do we move these kinds of things into more public school spaces? So if you're wanting to move in that direction, but you want to see what it could look like first, which I think is a very worthwhile thing to do, to be able to imagine what things could be like. The other thing is, many of you have said you want to work on imagination. If you want your imagination to begin to thrive again, side-by-side studios would be a great place for you to experience that. I can't recommend that highly enough, as you'll see when we're there. The other place you could go for that would be the Swallowtail Forest Preschool. My students who have done their practicums, pardon me, there have really loved it there. And again, you will see what can happen in the outdoors. And if that's of interest to you and you want to spend your time outdoors while doing this assignment, this would be a great piece for you. These two places, and in Sacred Heart also actually, these three places are going to give you a picture of what it could be like. They will hopefully awaken your imagination so that you can see what school could look like and should look like and where we're headed. I do firmly believe we are headed in this direction. I do not think we will go back. I think we will try to move spaces forward into this realm. And I should say that in many ways we are going back to very basic early childhood education principles from the 1950s, actually, when Virginia Chance, for example, founded the Chance School here in Louisville. So I say we're not going back. What I mean is I don't think we're going to stay in the space we're in. And I think we're going to move into take what we learned back in the 50s and from indigenous cultures who taught us a lot about young children and move into new spaces that we can create in public school settings. So I guess what I'm saying is, bottom line is, your biggest decision is, do I want to wake up my imagination and see a place that really operates in the way that school could and should be based on what we know about early childhood? Or do I want to see a school that's a public school setting that's striving for that? So you have kind of either or choices there. And I know I'll be adding other spaces because more and more, in particular, more and more Head Start spaces. The other Head Start space that's moving in this direction is the one that's monitored by, and it's monitored by 4C, but it has a name that I can't think of at the moment. But one of your classmates works in one of these sites and actually gets to go to Italy, she just told me. So I'm so excited about that. I wish you could do your project there. But regardless, I know we're going to add those spaces in too, because again, those are public spaces where the movement is toward this way of working with children. So I just want to say that for all of you who are experiencing a lot of angst and anxiety about, well, how am I going to actually do this in the classroom? Just know that it's coming. And it may not be in the spaces that you see currently. It may be very far away from the spaces you see currently. But I don't anticipate that will stay that way. And if it does in the space where you are, you can always look to spaces that are doing it and consider, where you want to land as a teacher and stay for a while. So when you go into spaces where you're imagining and you're seeing what could be, what I would encourage you to do is open up and say, this is amazing, and not allow little chatterboxes to come in and say, but we can't do it, but we can't do it, but we can't do it. Try to put the chatterboxes away and say, this is what's possible. Just enjoy it for what's possible and what should be, and try to put all your anxieties and chatterboxes, as I call them, away, and go in and open up your heart and imagine, wow, this is what it could be like and should be like. Because if we don't have these visions to carry us forward, then things won't change. So that's an interesting thing. You have people on the mayor's council, like, my husband and Kristen, and many other people, by the way, lots of people on that council are looking at all of this, and they want to hear from us. So we need to first, though, establish we've seen what can happen. And again, one last time, if you want to go into these spaces, please go into them with an open heart and an open mind, and leave behind all your anxieties about whether or not this could happen anywhere else. The truth is it could. And so what we have to do is go in and say, I want to see what's possible. That's when your imagination starts to wake up. It can feel you tapping it on the shoulder saying, okay, you've been asleep for a long time, but I want you to wake up because I need you. Okay, I need you. I want to be a different kind of teacher. So I need my imagination to wake up. And these places will do that. So I'm sorry for the length of this recording, but I did want to give you some things to think about and really reflect on before you make your choice.